Good morning, everyone. Today is, it's October 1st, the 13th day of Tishrei, as we are getting ready for Chag HaSukkot, and I hope everyone is well into the preparations. I just want to begin by, again, saying how thrilled I am and our entire shul with how everything came off for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It was not an easy thing to do, and especially when I look around and I speak with colleagues and friends, and we should be very proud of what we were able to accomplish. And to me, the high point was having everyone join together for Ne'ilah, one shul, one minyan, and it was really uplifting for me, and it kept me going. So thank you for all of that, and I look forward to an enjoyable Chag HaSukkot as well. We have still many things that are taking place in the shul despite our limitations, youth programming, etc. So please make sure you pay attention to all the announcements of what's taking place. Another thing that, again, we're just trying to accommodate everyone. So for the first 2 days of Yom Tov for Shachris, we'll be having an outdoor minyan in addition to the indoor minyans. We'll have the regular indoor minyan at 9. If you're planning to come to that, come to that. If you're on the fence about coming to shul, you don't feel comfortable yet, outdoors in the tent in the back. We don't have a ton of space, but we have enough certainly for a couple of dozen people. Men and women are welcome. We already have about, I think, a dozen signed up. So please just know that you have that opportunity, and it's going to start at 9:45 a.m. That's just going to be on Shabbos morning and Sunday morning, the first 2 days of Yom Tov. Today we have a sponsor. Berger is sponsoring our video and Dvar Torah and words for a yard site. This is a difficult yard site because if we think back, this goes back all the way to the Yom Kippur War. And Barbara's brother-in-law, so that's Itzik, Zichrono Livracha, his brother Amos. And if you ever had any conversation with Itzik when he was alive and he mentioned his brother, he would be moved to tears immediately. Of course, a child named Amos after him, but Itzik's love for his brother and his sort of almost inconsolable mourning that he had for his brother who died in the Yom Kippur War. The Yom Kippur War was very, very difficult, especially on the heels of the 67 War, when there was such a tremendous amount of Jewish pride, and then Israel and Tzahal kind of got knocked on their backs, so to say, and nearly 2,700 soldiers died in the Yom Kippur War. So today, Amos ben Sila, the Eliyahu, is his yard site. Now, if you'll see the picture that I attached, there are two pictures that I attached to the email. One is a picture of Amos, and if you'll follow the link, there's actually a beautiful site, a tribute site for all fallen soldiers of the Israeli Defense Forces, which I'll talk about in a second, and there is a bio there, and you can read the bio in Hebrew. You could do Google Translate, does a typical Google Translate type of job, but he was born on the 27th of Teves, that's in 1953, and today is the day that he died, of course, in 1973. But he was he loved animals, he loved sport, he grew up in Kibbutz Kfar Menachem, and you hear Itzik told us all the stories about growing up on the kibbutz, which is another story for another time. And finally he had to draft into the army in the middle of August of 1972. And here in the bio it tells us that he didn't like the military. He did not like the framework, he didn't like the structure, he was kind of resistant. They said he was always listening to his radio. But finally, after training, he joined the Shiryon, and he was in the 7th Brigade Patrol. And when the Yom Kippur, but he did say, this is the line, I want to read it to you from the Hebrew, the way they write it. He says, when it came to enlisting, if you didn't love the army, what are you going to do? He said, Ein breira, tzarich l'sharet batzahal v'ingvar latet, az latet et hatov biyoter. He says, we don't have a choice. You have to serve in Sava, you have to serve in the IDF. And if you're going to give, you might as well give your best. And give his best is exactly what he did. So they say that on Tuesday, the 13th of Tishrei, and the outbreak of the Yom Kippur War, they were sent to the northern front to repel attacks from Syria, and they were sent to rescue a unit from Golani Brigade, and they were in a difficult battle with the Syrians near the front of the battle. And the friends, they talk about Amos, and they say it was no longer the cynical and indifferent Amos who always listens to his radio. He operated his machine gun quietly and efficiently. He loaded the wounded on his back and he evacuated them with exemplary composure. Amos was wounded and he was killed during that battle, and he was buried ultimately in the cemetery in Kfar Menachem. This is true Israeli heroism. These are heroes that connect directly to our community. We think of the Yom Kippur War as something that's so long ago, yet it still connects with us to this very day. Which is why I want to get to the second picture that is in the email. That second picture is the monument, or it's the artistic structure, and I've spoken about this before, but it's worth repeating, that stands in the center of it's relatively new, the memorial for all fallen soldiers of the IDF, police, border patrol, prison guards. There's one center memorial which is located in Mount Herzl. Now, if you look closely, it looks sort of like a circular, tubular Jenga puzzle. But that's actually what it is. And that the way that the artist explained to me when I was there, and by the way, God willing, we'll be able to go there once, and I highly recommend, that you do the walk, especially if you go to Yad Vashem, and then you do the shvil that walks up through Har Herzl, and you see almost going from the horrors of Europe to the building of the State of Israel, and you walk and you see there's so many soldiers that gave their lives, and you look at the ages, 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, 21 years old, from all countries, and all different wars and operations. And you should go see that memorial. And there you can find the date of the name and date that a soldier passed away. There's computers all over the place and screens. And every day on the yard site, when the yard site falls, the lights light up. So you can just imagine that, let's say today on the 13th of Tishrei, right after the Yom Kippur War, there are so many that lit up. If you go on the website and they list whoever's yard site is that day, and the list seems endless. It goes on and on. And there are just so many because so many died at once. But that structure in the middle, those pieces, are held together, each one to the next, by these metal pegs. And it's the same metal that's used for the Merkava tank, the Israeli Merkava tank. And the idea is almost like Jenga. Jenga, you pull out that one piece and the whole thing falls down. The way this structure is designed, that if you remove some of the pieces, then the entire structure will fall down, to show you how Israel is built on one helping another. One has to hold up another. One has to support the other. And I think that's such an important lesson. And especially for us now. We've just been through a Rosh Hashanah, a Yom Kippurim. For a lot of us, maybe it was the first time you were back in shul, and maybe now you're starting to feel that, hey, I can do this. Hey, it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. But I still need a little help. And that's what your community is for. We're those pegs. We're here, one to hold up another. And whether we're thinking about someone who's a dear family member that was lost decades ago, or somebody that's with us right now, the same idea of being able to hold up one another, that's the meaning of community. That's what we're about. So as we head into Sukkot, and we try to really appreciate Zman Simchasenu, the time of our rejoicing, the messages, all the messaging that you heard throughout Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's about appreciating the positives of what we do have, appreciating the meaning of community, making meaningful moments in our lives. That's what Zman Simchasenu. We should be happy, we should be proud, especially that we have one another. And when you need help, call on us, kind of like James Brown, and we'll be there. We'll be there for you. So today on this day, the yard site of Amos ben Tzila ve'Eliyahu, a real Israeli hero, Zichron Lavracha. And I will close with the story that I've said it before also, that there was a student in the yeshiva of Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach in Shari Chesed, right in Yerushalayim, not far from Wolves and Towers. And he was having some difficulty, and he asked the Rosh Yeshiva if he could take a couple of days off to travel up north to go what's called the Kivrei Tzadikim, to go to the graves of the great rabbis in Tzfat, etc. And the Rosh Yeshiva said to him, he says, I don't know, why do you have to take 2 days off to go? He says, you can go right over here. He said, what do you mean right over here? He said, Har Herzl is a bus ride away. It's a few minutes away. He says, if you go into that cemetery, those are tzaddikim also. Those are righteous people. You should pray at their graves. So anyone who fought for our beloved state of Israel, especially those who died, Al Kiddush Hashem, who died for the sanctification of Hashem's name and for our land and for our Medina, they are indeed true tzaddikim. So may his neshama and the neshama of all those who gave their lives, not only on this day, but for all time, for the state of Israel, may they have an aliyah. May we build on the strength that they gave us and continue to appreciate all the good that we have because of them. Again, may his neshama have an aliyah. Have a wonderful day.